fly in here with us.
Yeah, Ranger was trying to eat
Ranger, sick him.
Yeah, wasn't that the fly that Ranger was trying to eat?
Yeah, probably. He likes trying to eat flies, and then he catches them sometimes, and then he spits them out because he's like, "Whoa, that's not right."
I think when Matt and I were looking at him, and all of a sudden he goes for a bite on that fly.
Yeah, he like was chasing it around over there. I think he must have hit it because then he like was walking around chasing it. So I bet he hit it and it fell on the ground and was trying to crawl away from him.
Oh, jeez.
Maybe it's just a game to him.
Yeah, maybe he like is like those kindergartners that torture the pet gerbil in class.
Oh, probably.
Or just torture a bug.
I feel like dogs almost always just want to play with the squirrel until they catch it. And then the squirrel starts tasting really good.
It's like, oh, he rediscovers the old ways. He's like an Ironborn that raids a village after like 2 generations.
Yeah, it's like he chases the squirrel, and then it's like, oh, I'm having fun chasing this animal. This is just a game. I'm chasing him around. It's fun. And he catches him, and he's like, there's some nice juicy bits in here.
That reminds me of the Joe Rogan
I'm still having fun. I don't know about you, squirrel.
Haley did the same thing to rabbits.
What do? Sorry.
Haley, she did the same thing to rabbits.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh,
Wabbits.
Jesus. Rabbits.
Yeah,
Rabbit season.
Dogs like play with their food a bit, I think.
They do it a lot more
Like
subtly.
orcas.
I think
So it's just all fun and games with them. Just like, yeah, we're best friends. And then they finally catch them. It's like, okay, now you're my meal.
I'm just going to eat you. There you go.
it's like one of those rom-com montages where they're having like the relationships now established and they're going on dates or whatever, but at the very end the dog just kills them.
Yep. Beautiful.
Dogs are angels.
Dogs are beautiful.
Yes, they're all good people.
All animals are just so nice, and nothing gets eaten in the wild.
Nothing happened on Noah's Ark.
Except for humans. We're total scum that needs to be eradicated. But all the animals, they're completely innocent.
Yeah.
It's not like ants have literal wars and commit genocide against each other.
Hey, that's pretty metal. I didn't know they did that.
Yeah, they are currently fighting most like a pretty significant amount of like ant communities are basically having a non-stop continental wide or even sometimes global conflict to fight for territory. They're fighting all the time.
Yeah, and they have machine guns and shit
And let alone
because their butts shoot acid.
let alone stuff like wolves or muskrats that have to constantly compete for hunting ground or places that can actually sustain their group.
Honestly, in terms of kill count, I think most predators are probably lower than a lot of the like insects.
Oh, by far. Could you imagine
There's just so many insects.
Yeah,
to
imagine
kill.
how many ants are dying right now.
Probably like hundreds of thousands a second. They have literal acid cannons in their butts.
Really?
Yeah, some ants. Not our ants.
There's
Yeah, they have some pretty
Our
good
ants are
engineers.
I believe it's the South. I believe there was an Argentinian ant species that has actually migrated to North America that has completely kicked all of our ant species asses, have become like the dominant primary ant species in North America, and have now like migrated to Europe and other places due to maritime sea travel, and are now competing with European and African ants.
Damn.
There's an ant species in which they have guardian ants whose heads are their entire job is that their head is really big. And
and
they use
plug
it
the hole.
Yeah, they use it to cover the tunnel.
What about the Asian giant hornets that are now running around Washington?
yeah.
Oh shit!
Is that still going on?
Yes,
I
they found a dead one just a few weeks ago.
Oh wow! I thought that would be
Some dude.
You know, like COVID was going on, so nobody gave a shit. When it happened, like it was a big news thing for like a week. Like, oh boy, killer hornets, and then it was gone after a week.
See, that was a filler episode.
Yeah, it's like here you go, away from the COVID drama.
It literally does feel like a filler episode, like
Yeah.
All right, should we start?
like Aang attack.
Yeah.
Get
Wait,
attacked by
we didn't
killer
start
bees.
already?
I guess I can include this, but
Yeah, probably.
yeah. Hello, everybody. It's the amalgamation of all of humanity's sins for the past 200,000 years, roughly. And I'm coming to. I don't regret a thing. And this is the Generic Lucky Shoe Podcast. So today we're going to be talking about self-help books for a while at least, and why internet personalities should stop giving advice to people. At least that's my take. Well, not necessarily stop, but people probably shouldn't listen as religiously to what everybody tells them to do on the internet. Like microdosing psilocybin. Did you ever do that?
I wanted to do that.
Yeah, because you wanted to microdose so psilocybin is like the hallucinogenic component in mushrooms, in funny mushrooms. And there's like an episode of Joe Rogan where he was saying that you should microdose psilocybin to unlock your brain or something.
Yeah, it was supposed to heighten your perception, make your mind a little more open and receptive.
It probably really does open your mind.
Yeah.
Maybe just not the way you want.
Good shrooms, fun shrooms, man.
See, I did experiment with shrooms, but the different kind of shrooms, the shroom tech. You know, I think he was part of On It, and they were advertising Genius shrooms or some shit like that. They had like lion's mane or reishi shroom or some shit.
Yeah, that episode like blew up.
Yeah.
Big trended for a while. Because I saw clips from it all the time, and it was like this hippie dude that had it was a product that they were trying to sell. Mm-hmm. And that's honestly the biggest thing. That's the biggest problem that I have with people jumping onto internet fads started by internet personalities, is that it's like almost always, it's like Dr. Phil again, or Dr. Oz, where they start by just selling products, you know? So it's just a sale, like a marketing tactic.
If I remember correctly, there was one product on Dr. Oz where it was a bean, and it was considered like a magical thing that was going to revitalize your body and like your relationship or whatever. And it was actually this way they were making fun that it was a magic bean,
Literal magic bean.
like straight out of The Office.
It's gonna grow to be really tall.
The self-replicating bean.
I feel like I saw something. There's some kind of medicine some doctor was making, claiming it was the greatest thing since girls. And
what?
And like it was supposed to cure like heart disease, all kinds of nasties in your blood. They fabricated data, put it out there, and convinced a lot of people that it was viable. And then they put it out to market, and it does nothing.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing.
I forget it though.
Like the thing that made Dr. Oz famous, the thing that he was selling, he knew it was BS because Dr. Oz is an actual like doctor.
Yeah.
He has a medical doctorate.
Mm-hmm.
So he actually does know what he's talking about. And he knew he was selling bullshit. And I'm pretty sure there's an interview with him where they're like, "Did you know?" And he's like, "Yeah, of course I knew. This was nothing.
I think it
but
was
I was selling stuff. I was trying to make money."
I think it was
Right.
I think he actually had to testify, if I remember correctly.
Oh, probably.
Yeah, I think that's what you're I think the interview you're talking about was him testifying to that specific thing.
Yeah. I think those people have the best ability to do that, to sell and manipulate, because they know the terms. They know how to, if you're good at it, you can manipulate the terms or terminology in a way that makes it seem reasonable.
Yep.
I remember 15 years ago hearing a commercial on a radio. It was like what do you call it, infomercials or whatever. They this guy, I forgot his name, but his last name was Trudeau, and he was claiming that he had all these cures to like HIV, cancer, or even herpes. That's how he phrased it. He's like, yeah, even herpes. And yeah, I don't know, his ads were just playing all the time. And eventually, and I think my parents got his book for whatever reason. But yeah, it was just, I heard he got into some trouble. I heard he was like sued or something.
He's trying to hack into our speakers right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
heard us
He was
picking
like,
it up.
"You can't talk about me."
McAfee was
Yeah,
talking
it threw
about
me off
leaking
for
all
a
the files.
second.
You guys remember when McAfee didn't he get arrested or something? Like he was threatening to release like trillions of files of incriminating information about people. So maybe he finally got us.
Oh no.
Oh,
Yeah, come at me, man. I'll take you on. Actually, don't, please. That would not be fun.
Yeah, we just spent $300 on these new microphones.
I don't want to tempt fate. Although, if you find something that's like a little scandalous, but honestly not too bad to ruin my life, if you could actually like flame me for that and make us famous by having just a little scandal, that'd be good. So I'd take that. Yeah, I don't know what it would be like. I yelled at my mom when I was a kid, like, "Oh man, he doesn't respect parents." It's like, that could become a thing.
Maybe do you have one of those like "Don't fuck with me, I have God and anime on my side" moments that might have been recorded?
Naruto running from the hallways, maybe.
No, that's not spicy enough.
It's not
It
spicy
needs
enough.
the
It's
kid
too
voice.
normie.
Oh yeah. I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, screaming. Hey man, I got real rage at video games as a kid, so there's probably some stuff out there. Some like Xbox live recordings of me yelling at people.
When you become famous, they'll just
Oh, yeah.
leak that shit out there.
Just yelling some gamer words.
I read gamer words. I read before it was cool, guys.
Your mother still punishes you and adds interest into the lost time when she couldn't punish you in the past.
Yeah, I remember like when I was playing Fable 2 with you that one time. It was like over 10 years ago, and you were just like screaming and kicking the chair
Yeah, I
because
bet.
we couldn't
I
get
was-
past this one area.
At Fable 2?
I was a freak.
Yeah.
I would
You're
live
raging
up-
at Fable 2?
Probably.
Yeah, Fable 2.
I would literally rage at anything
Wow.
as a kid. I had a lot of anger, man. That was my outlet, was video games.
I'll tell you what.
Video games and music. I'd rage at music too.
One
So.
thing that really raged me was my brother would always play the Separatists in Battlefront and wrist rocket my ass. And that
You
shit
didn't watch out for the wrist.
that shit
rocket.
pissed me off because he was so good at aiming that shit. I didn't know how to dodge it.
Hey man, you gotta. Every time I die in the new Battlefront 2, I say, "Oh man, I should have watched out for those wrist rockets."
when you're playing as rebels against the Empire,
Yep. Oh man, should have watched out for.
those fucking wrist rockets.
Whenever there's the jetpack person with the rocket launch, I'm like, "Oh man, should have watched out for the wrist rocket." Playing the Separatist, playing a B2 battle droid,
Oh
get
yeah.
blown up. But yeah, I think basically the cycling back to our topic.
What was our topic again?
Self-help guides.
Oh, yeah.
books.
Books and
We got
internet
so
celebrities.
off track.
I feel like internet celebrities are just the new age of like Dr. Phil, and honestly, Dr. Phil starting to post parts of episodes on YouTube now, so it is just like, but people, I don't know if like people make fun of Dr. Oz and Dr. Phil, but still get taken in by this. It's probably different people, but yeah, it's interesting. I feel like it's because it's on a different medium, people aren't as critical of it or as thoughtful about it.
Kind of targets more people too. I feel like it attracts these
Yeah.
really big audiences that there's no real vetting process. There's no attempt to vet what they're saying.
Well,
They-
like, is there an episode of Joe Rogan that doesn't get like over 1 million views at this point? So like, yeah, I definitely think the audience is way larger.
and he's saying all sorts of stuff on there. He basically just comes.
Yeah.
He to be fair, Joe Rogan. I don't know about other talk show people, but you guys bring up all the time that he basically openly declares that he's a moron, that you shouldn't really like take what I say religiously. He says that
Yeah.
quite a few times.
Well, it doesn't matter though, because he has that cult of personality. Like, it doesn't really matter what he says. He's more of just like an idea of a person.
People are attracted to his energy and then want
Yeah.
to follow it.
And he's very successful, and people just are like, well, if he says to do it, he's successful, so therefore it's the right thing to do
Yeah.
because he is successful, so therefore,
And healthy.
yeah.
Or at least we think he's healthy.
Yeah. I mean, how old is Joe Rogan at this point? He's must
like-
be like 50s.
53 or something.
Looks good for his
53,
age, I think.
54.
Yeah, he looks pretty good for 53.
Yeah.
So,
I would have
He-
guessed in the 30s.
in the 30s, wow.
In his 30s, I would have guessed that.
Yeah,
Or
he's pretty
40s.
old
yeah.
because he was like a WWE announcer at one point.
He was, yeah, I remember that. Oh, didn't he go into MMA too, or am I going crazy?
Oh, maybe he's MMA, not WWE.
I could have
Yeah,
sworn.
he's MMA.
Yeah,
That makes more sense
UFC.
because he's Mr. Taekwondo man too. So that makes a lot more sense.
yeah, because if I remember correctly, I remember him interviewing the person that beat Conor McGregor a couple. Oh god, it must have been like 10 years ago or something. But yeah,
Yeah.
MMA.
And he's been doing stand-up since the 90s.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
There are clips of when he still had hair. And when he still had
Joe Rogan of hair.
his old accent.
I couldn't
From
imagine
Boston.
Joe Rogan with hair. Oh yeah, he was also the fear not Naked and Afraid, but there's like a survival show where they took random.
X
People.
Factor.
Maybe that.
Yeah.
He was in some survival show like Naked. Maybe it was. No, it wasn't Naked and Afraid, but some survival show like that.
Okay, what is Naked and Afraid?
Naked and Afraid is not what it sounds like, because it actually can get shown on public TV. But basically, they take a group of people, volunteers, I hope, and put them out in the wilderness, and they're completely naked and have nothing on them, and they need to survive in the wilderness.
Wow.
It's like a game show.
Yeah, usually one man, one woman, I think, right?
There might be like, maybe. I think I saw an episode where they had a like group of 6 people or something, but normally it is like men and women split down like equal number of men and women, and then it's like basically like The Bachelor, because you can get voted off, where people are like, you're not the person I want in a survival situation. You're not predictable or like reliable, or you're lazy or whatever.
And this is airing right now?
I don't know if it's still going, but
So are they like naked for the entire time?
they blur out
Yes.
all of the giblets and whatnot.
All that
Cool.
Are you not a fan of the term giblets when referring to the human reproductive system?
No, honestly, I'm just still thinking about the show and the fact that this premieres on
Like,
TV still.
The fact
Or
that it
has.
existed at any point.
Yeah. Like, I didn't know that was a thing at all, and my brain is still wrapping behind around that.
Yeah, I think I only saw like one episode, but
It's like they're starting a nudist colony.
it's not the worst reality show, to be honest.
This is true.
Yeah.
But nothing can really top The Bachelor. That's-
Yeah, or the Kardashians, man. Hey, man, if you want some good made up drama, that's the shit.
Well, and honestly, that kind of ties to the whole celebrities telling you what to do, because people actually take that reality TV shit and will go to town with it.
Yeah, that is weird, because a lot of people think that it's actually their lives,
Yes.
Yes.
and then it like forms a parasocial relationship, and that's another thing we could go into is just parasocial relationships on the internet.
Is that where you vicariously feel like you have a social relationship simply because you see somebody streaming or something?
Yeah, one of the best examples that I can think of is, so there's 2 YouTubers that I've watched for a long time that are pretty good friends from what I can tell in real life, Chris Raygun and Chewonhead, and people oftentimes are like, you guys should date, and it's like random people on the internet telling 2 people that they should get together, and that's weird as hell, because you honestly don't know these people in reality, and you don't know what kind of relationship they do have. And also, from the person like receiving that, it's basically, you need to know in your mind that they're basically doing a fictional ship of 2 characters, because on YouTube you're playing a character. I mean, if you're good on YouTube, I think we're all pretty authentic actually, but that's because we're new. We'll get characters.
No.
One day.
We'll
One
become
day.
caricatures of ourselves. That's normally how it happens. You start pretty authentic, and then you exaggerate your personality over time.
Yeah, it's Flanderization.
Yeah, you Flanderdize yourself.
What I'm hearing
Exactly.
is there's going to be a point where I just only say like.
like or or my own filler word, or some shit like that, and yeah, just some shit like that,
I could see that being a catchphrase, to be honest.
just some shit,
But yeah, like parasocial relationship is where you, as an audience member, feel like you actually have involvement in someone, like a creator's personal life,
Oh, I see.
and that you're friends. And you're not though.
Mhm.
You
Like,
don't
yeah.
know them for shit.
you
You see like a 15-minute snippet of their life every week.
That's the first thing TJ Kirk has ever said to me. Like, I sent him a super chat. I told him, hey, I watched you guys so much to a point where it feels like I know you all personally. And then he read that and he was like, that is what is called a parasocial relationship.
Yikes.
He just shat on you. Shit.
Yeah, but so then you also, and that like even more than TV, then you get the feeling that when you're listening to like a Joe Rogan podcast, you're like friends with Joe Rogan, and he's like recommending this new thing. So it's like your friend being like, "Hey, you should try out this thing." It's a completely different relationship than TV, although it has like parallels that we've made before.
Yeah, because the interviews in reality TV, especially ones that simply follow the same gang of people, create this kind of general scene setup situation where they show just the third person camera looking at everything. And then the interviews are supposed to like personalize them, make you feel like you're going through their thoughts and stuff like that. But you have a stream, it's with some stuff it can be much more personal. I guess mukbang's a good example when you're just watching somebody eat.
What's that?
Mukbang is when you live stream yourself eating.
People watch that?
I did once.
That's
I was
kinda
just
lit.
like, hey guys, I'm watching this guy eat Chick-fil-A for like 5 minutes here.
Yeah, this is the thing, and then, like, it's even on YouTube where you're not even streaming anymore. You're just filming yourself. You're saying random stuff. It could be anything and eating.
Who knew that existed? I didn't.
I guess I'm not super like people stream themselves coding too.
People stream themselves doing anything.
Yeah, literally, and people watch it. So
Yeah, like
Even
this-
shitting?
I mean, you probably
honestly, there's sites for that. I can guarantee it.
there 100% are sites for that. And like, there's people who stream themselves just walking around town and stuff like that. Like they'll just have a camera.
Like vlogs.
Yeah.
Back in the good old days of vlogs.
And then that kind of just transitioned over to streaming, where now people live stream themselves hanging out at bars and stuff like that.
I feel like there maybe is a line where if you stream your entire life, your audience actually probably does know you pretty well.
Yeah, I was about to say, is somebody out there streaming their entire lives now?
I honestly
Pretty
wouldn't
much.
be surprised.
Even what they do in the bedroom.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Or
can get to
sleeping.
that
Just
level.
transition from Twitch to Pornhub.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Do they have a live stream
After
service?
8 p.m., you all right, see you guys over on the other channel. Bye.
Honestly, I would respect the amount of work that goes into something like that. Jesus Christ.
Just have cameras literally everywhere in your life. If you got murdered, like you'd be impossible to murder and get away with it.
Mm.
That's a bonus.
That's
a pretty nice perk.
It's a very odd perk that you pointed out. I mean,
Hey,
you're
this
still
is a
dead.
perfect transition to all the body parts being found in Minneapolis recently.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
shit. Yeah, I was going to do a research on that, but I totally forgot.
Oh, nice.
I literally hadn't heard about it until you put it on the Discord, and I'm like, wait, what is going on in Minneapolis?
Matt, do you know anything about this? Because I don't.
Say it again.
The whole body part thing, that where apparently body parts
Shit.
are being found in Minneapolis.
I've heard of it, but no, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything that's going on,
No.
honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody
just-
found like fingers, I think.
Yeah, maybe. What did you
Jesus
find
Christ.
from the random study you did see?
Well, I just know that they've identified who it was. It was some 30-year-old man.
Oh, so it's
And-
all like body parts from one dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there was one drop off in Northeast, and it might have been either downtown or South Minneapolis, but I forgot which. But yeah, it's pretty fucked up. It's like the ice truck killer is alive.
Yeah, it's some like Dexter level shit.
Yeah.
Some fiction book level shit.
Yeah, his brother is still alive out there.
Whose brother?
Who did he piss
Dexter's
off?
brother, you know, the ice truck killer.
I don't know who the ice truck killer
Oh, you
is.
never seen Dexter?
The only thing I know about Dexter is surprise motherfucker.
Oh,
Surprise, motherfucker. Surprise.
no, the ice truck killer would just leave body parts everywhere
And
as
actually,
clues.
in the book, the ice truck killer doesn't die.
Mm.
Spoiler alert for the book.
Oh my god.
As if anyone reads the book.
No spoiler alert warning
Also,
for Dexter.
Also, yeah, the book that's been out for like a decade at this point. Also, Jeff Lindsay, the author, narrates it, and he is way too good at sounding like a serial killer. So that's a little sus, Jeff. A little sus. Like when he's like, and I use my command voice. I'm like, oh my god. I feel like this guy's actually murdered people.
Hey, didn't the book series finish before the TV show?
I think so, yeah.
Hmm.
They are completely different. They're like
Yeah.
if you want a story that is Dexter and he's actually pretty much just a psychopath, you should read the books. Because in the show he's not really a psychopath, but in the books he actually is pretty much.
They do a lot to humanize him in the TV show.
You kind of need to. There's something like different about a medium of a book where you can get away with weirder stuff, but in a TV show you really need that human element. And in the earlier seasons they had that human element with the supporting cast, but it wouldn't have been like enough long term.
I remember a part of the story. I never read the book, but I just saw a review online showing Dexter like Rita's children. Like in the book, they were having some psychotic tendencies because of their abusive father.
Yep.
And then Dexter was just like, "This is awesome."
Yeah, Dexter was like, ah, yes, my progeny. I'm
Yeah.
gonna make them into my little serial killer children. Yeah, it was great.
That's pretty base.
Dexter's based.
He sees like psychologically damaged children's like, I raised this child.
They may not be my biological children, but they're my spiritual children, damn it.
They are my dark passenger.
First time you guys talked about Dexter, I thought you were talking
Oh,
about
no.
the little
Dexter's
scientist, the cartoon, the little scientist one.
Dude,
You-
I love that shit.
yeah.
That's such a good cartoon, though.
Sometimes I have to make that disambiguation. No, that's not the right word. Disambigu. Am I already drunk?
Disambiguation is right. I think.
Disambiguation. Yeah.
You're
God.
drunk as fuck.
Yeah, probably. I only had like half of that drink.
Sorry,
And it's seltzer. But
is that a word?
It's good enough.
Okay.
yeah, good enough.
It
Yeah.
conveys meaning, therefore it's a word in my book.
Vernacular
like,
development.
Sometimes when I want to talk about Dexter, I have to say Dexter Morgan, or else they're going to think I'm talking about Dexter's lab.
Needy, get out of my laboratory. That was terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kill yourself.
I'm gonna bleep that out. It's gone.
I never saw that show. I don't think there's a lot of Cartoon Network shows I think the animation freaked me out as a kid. Like Ed, Ed and Eddie. I never saw that or Bill and Mandy. Courage the Cowardly Dog. All three of those freaked me out when I was a kid.
Those were three that were pretty trippy.
What about a cow and chicken?
Oh, I don't even remember that, so
I
definitely
barely
not.
remembered. I just remember it being really fucked up.
Do you guys remember Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends?
I never watched
Yes.
it, but I do remember how big of a sensation it was.
It had its moments.
I loved Eduardo. Potatoes.
I love cheese.
Eduardo was this huge, like the most intimidating of the imaginary friends, but he was excessively shy.
And a crybaby.
Yeah.
He was basically a child.
I feel like that's an archetype in kids' shows.
Yeah.
It's a
It definitely
lot.
is.
It shows up a lot.
like a man child or something.
Big old, yeah, like a big old softie.
Mhm.
Oh, John, do you remember Cheese? They basically had a character where like it's like an imaginary friend that had special needs.
I do not remember that. I remember Coco. I remember the really tall basketball player with one arm. Because apparently he lost his arm when an imaginary friend crushed it during a basketball game.
I love how real kids shows got back then.
Okay.
Back in our day.
This is a little off topic, but whenever I think of real or like crazy shit that happens in kids stuff, I always go back to the Finding Nemo intro because
Oh
that
my
shit's
God.
fucked.
Yeah, that's like Bambi level shit.
It's honestly one of the most fucked up things that they show in a kids movie is that it's a guy breaks into his house, kills his wife, and murders all of his children except one.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, kids'
Goddamn.
cartoons have always been quote unquote real. Like,
Based.
yeah, based, you know? Like, I remember, like, Fat Albert, it's like a 60s or 70s. They actually depicted gang violence and had a young child shot.
I shouldn't be laughing. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I
I don't remember that. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I'm such an old man. I'm like looking back at the glory days of cartoons and animation. I'm like, man, our kids' cartoons were so good. Nothing measures up anymore. I'm an old man. I'm a boomer.
I mean, it does. They did reduce the. I feel like they did reduce the amount of fucked up shit that does happen because, in Frozen, all you get is a nondescript moment where the boat collapses, and then you realize they don't have parents anymore. Like, how does that top Finding Nemo?
Yeah, where they're like literally show an action scene of an entire family getting murdered.
And like he's looking for his wife and crying, and then he finds a little cracked egg, and it's like, I will name you Nemo.
Like goddamn Lion King, where Mufasa gets yeeted into a goddamn stampede and trampled to death.
I just realized Finding Nemo must be a really different movie for parents because when I was a kid, I was so annoyed at Nemo's dad for being like, "Oh, just let him do shit," and then I realized from the parents' point of view, it's his last kid, and he's trying to make sure that he stays alive. That movie is like a double. It's a really different movie for both sides viewing it.
Yeah, it's like almost a message to the parents, like, yeah, it's good to be protective, but you need to give your kids some space sometimes to grow up.
Yeah, and then for the kids, they see Nemo get kidnapped.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh boy, maybe I'm not quite ready yet.
Oh my god, that's such a well structured movie for a Disney movie.
Yeah, I like, and that's another thing is that a lot of like old cartoons had adult themes in them that were like coded somewhat. Like they don't need to be that coded because kids are kind of dumb, so they don't like pick up on it. But they have like a lot of adult themes that kids just don't pick up on. But the adults are like, that's kind of interesting to think about because the parents need to be there, so you might as well give them something to do.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
an all ages show at that point.
Yeah,
Kind of like Gravity Falls. There's like a lot of things that kids won't understand about that show, and a lot of the jokes as well.
I haven't seen Gravity Falls.
It's really funny, and it's actually really well written.
I feel like I should give it a try. Like people said, like really hyped up Adventure Time, and I never got into that. But is it similar to Adventure Time?
I mean, I've never seen Adventure Time either, so I wouldn't know.
That's fair.
Matt, are you a big Adventure Time guy?
Actually, I was thinking about SpongeBob. There's the SpongeBob the movie. There's a scene where he and Patrick go into the Goofy Goober establishment and eat like 1,000 Goofy Goobers, and get basically if you watch it as an adult, you know they're getting drunk.
Yep.
Goofy Goobers.
I remember
are
that
ice
scene.
cream.
Like the
We're
goddamn-
a Goofy Goober. Yeah, I remember that scene.
A doubloon. Don't drop it.
Oh yeah, I remember that too.
Don't drop the soap.
Go Hasselhoff.
Oh my god. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in SpongeBob has a lot of stuff in it for sure. Yeah.
Honestly, I don't remember that much else when it comes to cartoons. I remember Shaolin Showdown, but I don't remember there being any
Ew.
adult stuff. Do you not like Shaolin Showdown?
Shaolin Showdown is so cancer.
you
What
don't
is
like
that one?
you don't like Omi?
Omi is so cancer.
It's
too.
like a oh god, how do you even explain it? It's like an Asian themed Cartoon Network show where the main character Omi, like the lead of them, he's literally straight yellow, like straight up yellow with lines in his eyes,
Oh my god.
and he's really short too.
Some like old school like caricatures.
He's
like,
straight
racial
yellow,
caric-
like not even just like Asian, yellow.
It's like back in the days when black people in cartoons would literally just be like the blackest black and have giant lips.
Yeah, it felt like
Rip.
that. But then it wasn't. Outside of that, it wasn't. I don't remember it being racist outside of that. But it was just kind of funny because Omi is there, right? And then Yukiko is another character in the team, and she's Japanese, but she does not look like Omi. She looks just like Asian, like a better, like a more, I guess, acceptable version of that. But like the whole thing is like you got this gang of people that have like were chosen and have magical powers. Each are a different element, and they fight against this one guy to collect all the artifacts because if the other team gets it all, like it'll cause an apocalypse. And every single episode there's a Shaolin Showdown where they all
Do you-
fight.
Oh, I
Do you
think I
know-
remember seeing some memes from that actually.
Do you know that Raimundo is SpongeBob?
I did not know that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Because he also becomes the leader at the end of the show,
Yeah, because
which means
Omi,
SpongeBob is leading them.
because Omi sucks.
Oh, since Raj isn't here, we can actually talk positively about Avatar without him flying into a blind rage.
Literally the meme autistic screech.
Why does he hate Avatar so much?
He hates how like quickly they develop powers throughout the show.
He also really doesn't like Aang's mannerisms or like any of the characters because he thinks they're like too self-righteous, even though they're like kids.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much all kids' content has like a level of self-righteousness about it because gray morals are like difficult in children's shows.
If I remember correctly,
Like you can have adult themes. Like Zuko had a lot of adult themes in it, but it wasn't morally ambiguous. Like he was a bad guy, and then he became a good guy. That's like, you can have adult themes and have characters that are kind of like in a gray area, but overall you need to know like what's right and what's wrong in a kid show because kids have enough trouble with moral compasses.
An aspect that I like, they eventually go to the Earth Kingdom. they find out that they're straight up brainwashing the entire population of on
Ba Sing Se.
the war, Ba Sing Se. And
There
they're
is no
supposed to be
war in Ba Sing Se.
they're supposed to be the good guys, but they're they're doing some fucked up shit too. The point is, even if they are the good guys, that they're not they're not perfect. They're not angels.
Yeah. And like the good guys, the crew were always the good guys. I guess that's my point. Is that the good guys were always pretty much objectively the good guys. There's like a few episodes where Aang is being a little jerk, and then he gets his comeuppance at the end of the episode.
Yeah, like every scene or episode in which they show them challenging them, their moral compass, they always succeed. Eventually, maybe it takes an episode, maybe it takes till the very ending. A good example is Katara's episode, I think, when Zuko's attempt to try to prove that he wants to be part of the crew and is a good guy now. He tries to help her find her mom's murderer, and she goes all bloodbending crazy.
Yeah, Katara has actually a few episodes throughout the show where she like gets challenged.
She gets tempted or whatever.
Yeah. Because she also is probably like the most anger fueled person of the like original crew.
Which is kind of crazy because Aang got his entire society wiped out.
Literally genocide.
Yeah.
And he's angry about it for approximately one episode, and then he's like, all right, I'm over it, it's fine.
I can't tell
He
if
just
he's...
needed a hug.
Yes.
Although if you go into the Legend of Korra, apparently he just becomes a total asshole to all of his children that aren't airbenders. And
Not an asshole, but he was just more aloof.
Yeah,
he just didn't really address their needs.
Yeah, and just definitely didn't value them as much, like objectively speaking.
Yeah, the original crew from Avatar, they all grew up and became horrible parents.
Yep. Which is just great. Thanks, Legend of Korra.
Yeah.
There's something about the writing and structure behind Legend of Korra that really makes me feel like they lost somebody or a couple people from Avatar to Legend of Korra. It just doesn't feel right whenever I'm watching it.
I think I can put it in words to a certain extent, which is that especially in the season where like they're fighting the original spirit of whatever the heck. I don't remember. Like the original spirit of darkness.
Oh, the Apocalypse season.
Yeah, the Apocalypse season.
Yeah, that was stupid.
Tenzin literally goes through a hero's journey. Like if you know the hero's journey, he goes through every exact stage of the hero's journey. He literally goes into the belly of the beast and meets his father and confronts his father's failings as a person. So like literally by the book, hero's journey. And then at the end of the season, at the climax, he's not the hero, and he just what happens is that he supports Korra more, and then she like gains the power to win because he supported her more.
Glorious.
Tenzin sucks. He gets his ass kicked all the time.
Yeah, it's like, why wasn't Tenzin cool?
He
Like,
could have been cool.
And basically the entire show just boiled down to support women.
Yeah, I think what happens with Tenzin is kind of what happens in Dragon Ball Z, is that you know he's supposed to be a very strong character. So you let him get beat to show that the antagonist is strong.
Yeah. I just like, if you're going to have someone go through the hero's journey, make it the hero that actually saves the day.
No, that makes too much sense.
Like,
we have to subvert expectations, Marcus.
Or you can like do a different story structure, because the hero's journey isn't the only story structure. But if you're going to implement that story structure, like implement it in a way that like actually has resolution.
You know, I just realized something that we can kind of tie back to the whole celebrities telling you what to do thing. Because you're talking about how kids kind of can't really interpret stuff that's gray, right?
Yeah.
So when you have a situation like maybe drama between two celebrities, or when a celebrity is telling you what's good or bad, then they are more likely to take that shit to heart.
That shit gets real. Like, people just joke about having beef online, and their fans will go
ballistic,
like, rabid.
Mm-hmm.
And they're literally like, it was literally like an offhand joke, and because there's so many people watching, like even if only like 40 of them take it seriously, 40 people can make a lot of noise really quick on the internet, and it can blow up real quick. So it takes only like 40 people that don't, that take things too seriously, in a group of like 200,000 fans or whatever, and then boom.
And all the marketing people know that the fans eat this shit up.
Oh yeah,
So
drama's hot.
they milk the drama as
Love
hard as
drama.
they can.
I'm a shallow person. I'm a sucker for drama.
You eat the drama up.
Well, smart YouTube creators, successful YouTube personalities also know that, and they definitely use that.
Paul Zigo versus Jamie Darkey. That debate.
And I guess that's kind of my point, is that it's not necessarily always a bad idea to take advice of people online. Like, not everything Joe Rogan says is dumb. There are some things that he says that are valuable and you can implement in your life that will be helpful. And same with, we've been talking about Joe Rogan this whole time, but he's not the only person. He's just like the quintessential example. But there's also Jocko Willink, Jordan Peterson,
Basically
Vosh.
anybody.
Anyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's hundreds, thousands of
People can make inspirations out of some
Yeah.
pretty weird channels that you really shouldn't be taking inspiration from.
but you also, while you can accept that there's value in a lot of the stuff that they say, you also need to recognize that they are to some extent characters online that they're playing, and they're also trying to make money and sell stuff. So
Yep. You need to make sure that the idea that you're implementing is good because it is actually good for you, not just because you heard some guy on the internet say that it's good.
Or you hear just one success story from it doesn't mean that's going to be
Honestly,
good for you.
Yeah, anecdotal evidence.
like Jocko Willink said, there's no shortcuts in life, and so therefore, applying it to this situation, you need to think through what people say on the internet and figure out if it works for you, and actually do your own legwork to implement it in your life to be
Please-
successful with it.
Please do your best to be objective. It's hard, but yeah, it's very important.
Yep. And you just like let people, like, that's one thing that I didn't like about Jordan Peterson's book, was that it's 12 rules for life. And even in the preface, he says, like, these aren't rules. You should think about them and implement what he even says what I said, but I don't like the title 12 rules for life. 'Cause
It's too
like,
spicy though, you know? He has to sell.
I know I know exactly why he did it. And that's why I can't be too mad at him, because he needs to sell the book.
It's like all those crazy YouTube channel titles.
12 recommendations for life that you can take if you want to, but
You
you don't
won't
need
believe just how good this build is in Rainbow Six. Like something like that.
to. Yeah.
You cannot believe.
Yeah, no, you can't be moderate about your title. You need to sell it.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Unfortunately.
I understand that.
Confidence is the key.
Mhm.
But that's why it's good that he put it in his preface, but not everybody like absorbs it when they read the preface, I think.
Like, here's an example, actually. These people reanimated a scene in It doesn't matter anymore. Mandalorian 2, season 2 has been out for a while. Luca's in it. And they reanimated the scene to make him look better. The title was, This Animation Blows Disney's Out of the Water. Best animated Luke ever. And then so Mark Hamill commented on it, saying, maybe you should... he loved the video and said, like, maybe you shouldn't put a title like that. It seems kind of... rude to the animators that
They
were
worked really hard.
yeah, and then all the comments towards Mark Hamill's tweet were talking about how, like, what the hell's wrong with you? Okay, like, these guys are like awesome. Like, why are you flaming their work just because they said something like that?
It's just stirring up drama.
Yeah, just shit like that.
And the war, and that's another thing I don't like. Oh yeah, I never recanted my stuff about Vosh, which I do actually want to do. Vosh isn't as bad as Ben Shapiro because he doesn't stick to party lines as much. There, I wanted to say that because I flamed Vosh before I knew more about him, but
Oh my god.
he's still annoying. Go ahead.
Sorry. The parasocial relationship thing.
Yeah,
That ties so much with the Twitter wars.
yeah.
Yeah, because you're just sitting there, oh my god, these are my guys, I love them so much. And like it's almost like you're defending a friend.
That's exactly what I was going to go into, actually, because exactly, you're defending a friend, and you have like these wars, and that's what I don't like about Vosh, is that he's very confrontational, and he breeds that like environment, and then factionalization and partisanship, because he's also political. Although while he doesn't stick to strict like left right party lines, he does have his own, faction that he's growing and fractionalizing more from the rest of, and basically limiting useful communication, which I think can be harmful.
I don't
And
think
same
I've
with
heard
Ben
of him.
Shapiro, but
He's
Don't-
They're philosopher daddies.
Yeah.
They just. I heard that term circle around a few times, but yeah, it's basically people like to follow debate bros, or just people who just like to debate in general, and instead of thinking for themselves, they just sort of use their arguments all the time. I saw a comment for one of Ben Shapiro's videos and saying like whenever a leftist says XYZ to me, I just show him this video. Just like what, you couldn't debate them yourself?
It's actually
Gonna do your own research. You need Daddy Shapiro to win your arguments for you.
It's a huge thing, I feel, with a lot of stuff. Or maybe if you have reviewers you trust.
And that's the thing that like, oh, sorry, you go.
Oh no, I've been talking for a while. Go for it.
The like one thing that's what I like more about Vosh than Ben Shapiro is that Ben Shapiro, he does make his own arguments, but he doesn't necessarily come up with his own ideas because he does just go off the party line, and then he makes arguments. He engages in apologetics for his party. Vosh, I do think that Vosh does come up with his own ideas, and he comes up with the arguments for them, which I can appreciate more than Ben Shapiro. So I rank Vosh like slightly above.
You get the not Ben Shapiro award.
That's basically what you have to do as a lawyer. Take up whatever needs to happen, and you need to argue for that idea.
Yep, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Ben Shapiro is a great lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Got a quick question. Do you guys have reviewers or kind of analysis YouTube channels or whatever that you guys really trust and will basically absorb their opinion of it? Because I definitely have a couple.
I had like a while back, I had some like news-ish YouTube channels that I watched.
For a while, I think in high school, I was really big into John Oliver. Basically anything that he said, I would absorb that stuff.
Yep.
Some stuff I say on the podcast are straight up verbatim stuff that I heard on John Oliver back in high school.
Like, I don't want to admit it, but almost certainly I absorb stuff from YouTube channels. Like, I talk high and mighty like this, but at the same time, it's almost impossible not to, from time to time, just absorb information uncritically, especially if you like a creator. It's almost impossible not to be like, oh yeah, of course, I agree with that, just because they said it.
Yeah, like Matt, do you have anything like that when it comes to YouTube?
A recent YouTube channel that I've found that I like pretty much is called Audit the Audit. It talks about police interactions and the law and constitutionality. For example, it'll show everything from just dumb people thinking they know the Constitution, acting like a lawyer, and the police trying really, really hard not to throw the entire book at them.
Would you say that you more absorb information from that, or are you still critical about what you hear on it?
I'd say more along the lines of absorbing. I'll admit, but
yeah.
Sometimes they'll pull up what he's talking about to verify what he's saying about the cases, like relevant court cases and what other people are saying about those court cases.
Yeah, and all you can do is try not to absorb. It's honestly really hard. Yeah, especially like if you're at the end of a day and you honestly don't have that much brain power left, and like, I just want to watch YouTube. Okay,
because
you go on there and it's like, oh, I'm just gonna watch it and like, eat it.
I have an example of me probably getting kind of a parasocial defense mechanism kick in. Was for there's a YouTuber I watch, Indy Nidell. He does the Great War, World War II, Time Ghost, the week by week stuff. Fantastic YouTuber, but one of their comments was talking about how there's another really, really good World War II YouTube channel called TIK, and it was not even them saying it. It was a fan saying it, and I read that, and I didn't like TIK anymore. Like,
yeah, it's wild.
When one of my friends recommended me a video from him, like, he makes good content from what I understand, because I still actually haven't seen anything from him, but I just don't watch it. Whenever I see it, I get annoyed. And it's a lot of that subliminal implicit messaging, even not from the content creator, just the fan base.
Yeah, it's like this knee-jerk reaction that you're like, well, yeah, it is. evolutionary, I think, because you have the tribal like mindset.
Yeah. The
You're-
in group versus the out group.
Your monkey brain sets in, and you're
Yeah,
like, I
yeah.
need to defend my
Yeah.
tribe.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah.
Brother has told me that he doesn't like him. I must help brother.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We need consensus in the tribe.
we must agree. We must assimilate.
But yeah, that's branching out to everything else, whatever your fan base is. I could imagine it can kick in real quick.
Yep. I can name. Well, like Chris Ray Gun and Shoeonhead, I mentioned them earlier. They used to be. Shoeonhead still is somewhat political. Chris Ray Gun used to be a lot more political, and I definitely absorbed information from him from time to time. I always tried to be critical, but like you can't always be critical.
Mhm.
It's just not how the human brain works. So
Yep.
it's just something you need to be You need to be mindful that is a limitation of your existence. Is that you're not gonna always be critical.
That's why we've invented methods and tools of science, for example, to learn about the physical world in a critical way.
Yep. Objective measurements as close as we can get.
Mm-hmm.
And even science is subject to some level of like human impartiality.
There's
for sure.
There's a helmet that is one of the most well-known like Dark Age helmets from that helmet. It's a very iconic helmet. You guys have probably seen like one picture of it in your life at some point. It looks like a huge metal helmet and a giant face mask on the front. It's from the UK. It was dug up from an Anglo-Saxon burial in like the 600s. Do you know how many parts of that helmet are actually parts that they were found in the burial site? Like of the whole helmet that is like beautifully ordained. It looks like a full medieval helmet. Do you want to guess how many parts of that are actually from the burial site?
3.
Yeah. There's like 3 little chunks.
Nice.
3 little tiny chunks of metal. That is the actual stuff that they found. Everything else is an interpretation.
How many pieces are there?
Oh, of like the whole helmet in total? I couldn't even imagine. It probably
Hundreds.
it probably took so much work to rebuild or like reconstruct something like that.
It's almost like a fanfic at that point.
Of course, these are very educated people making these guesses, right? But still, yeah, like they're taking a very well vetted and really well educated guess, and like that helmet's already been revised. I think the current version of that helmet, the current representation, is the second representation because somebody in the 70s made their own version of it, but then they were like, it's not very Anglo-Saxon. Now that we know more, and then moved it over to that one. So yeah, definitely.
Well, and even in something like as objective as physics, there's a certain level of, at least, because there is a philosophical component to especially newer like edge physics, and there is a selection of what we are testing and what we are trying to figure out. Where it's like this is where we think it's going, and it's not always what you choose to go and experiment further with isn't always objective. It's what you have some existing notions of what you think the universe works, and there's that desire to go with that.
You're studying
Like
to try
that
to
influences
target
what
that.
you're going towards.
Yeah.
Yep, that's more or less the position Niels Bohr took in studying quantum mechanics. Back then, there was the idea of particles having definite momentum and definite positions, and Niels Bohr is saying, well, that's just what I guess we could call classical baggage that we attribute to the everyday objects. And we try to put that onto particles being described by quantum mechanical rules. Instead, it just fails horribly. You have to use different rules instead, governed by stuff like the Schrödinger equation. Out of those rules, our macroscopic classical reality, physics of the everyday world, somehow come out of that.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't. But it's not necessarily a 1-to-1 ratio.
Yeah, and like just especially when you create a model of how you think the universe will work, you go like the way that you generate that model comes out of what you expect, like inherently.
Mm.
So
There's
so
a
if
lot
you
of,
have a view of like everything is completely measurable is your like standpoint, you're gonna approach the universe from that angle. Whereas if you're more of a statistically minded person and you don't think there's an absolute, like, that nothing's completely determinate, then you're going to approach it more statistically as well and come up with more of a statistical model. So there's actually a schism in physics that I found from one of our discussions. We were talking about like determinate systems and non-determinate systems and the Schrodinger wave equation, actually. And after we had that conversation, because we were on opposite sides of that, you're more determinate and I am more statistical. And I did some research, and there's a pretty large schism from what I can see in the physics community. Even within my physics department at my college, there was like professors that took more of a statistical approach and didn't think that it was determinate, and people that did. So it's kind of interesting because people read Schrodinger's equation differently from each other.
Yeah, they interpret it in different ways what it ultimately means. In some sense, they're both kind of equally right because they both make unfortunately both make the same predictions. Yes, they both work.
Yeah.
So I guess it's more of a matter of for the experimentalists at least, or engineers that want to use it. You know what? I guess what interpretation makes the more sense to them.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. With like the more cutting edge, newer physics, there is possibility of that like approach schism. But
You know, this kind of sounds like the free will versus determinism debate, almost.
yeah, I don't want to give you too much of a spinning existential crisis tonight.
Yeah, it just reminded me of it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's for me, that's one of the big questions.
Well, I do have an important question for you specifically, Marcus. Did the Battle of Watling Street actually happen?
I think it was just Romans beating up some small children.
Do you think it was a heavily over-exaggerated battle?
10-1 is pretty fucking steep, bro. That's all I'm saying.
I'm just saying, if your army is in a literal hair combing formation, and they're for some reason like just literally consuming the enemy army by making them go through the like little hair comb gaps, it just sounds too ridiculous. A little too ridiculous.
Literally, the figure is 10,000 Britons versus 1,000 Romans. And the Romans had a decisive victory.
And like they couldn't run away because they ran into their train cart where all their families were, and apparently were like slaughtered. And it just sounds a little too ridiculous.
It's Roman propaganda. I have this feeling.
Because I'm just saying. So Operation Compass is one of the most insane victories the British ever scored in World War II. They lost 5,000 killed on the British side, 10,000 killed on the Italian side. How many were captured from the Italian side? 144,000. So, but they weren't all killed. In the Battle of Watling Street, they have knives. They have swords and armor, and they slaughtered all of them. That's the only thing I can think of for why it's ridiculous.
Okay, but then you did tell me the story about the admiral who had like a fishing boat against an entire navy and won.
Yeah, but he didn't kill them. That's the thing, though. He fought them off. There's a difference between slaughtering every single one of them and fighting them off. Like for him, apparently, for that example, he had 12 ships left because the opposing admiral basically lost his entire fleet, and he used the weird currents of the area so that the hundreds of Japanese ships that were coming to engage him in a narrow strait could not bring their guns or men to bear. They would constantly get stuck in the current while his guys were taking free pot shots at them.
And it would twist them around.
Yeah, and basically destroyed the Japanese formation to the point where they just had to call it a day and piss off, basically. And then he stopped them from pushing any further closer.
Naval combat is insane, dude.
Dude, it is. It's awesome.
Who fucking thought, man, fighting on land, that's all right. But what the real game is fighting on the water. Like, no, the squids can have the water. I don't want to go there, bro. Most people couldn't even swim during that time period. What are you doing?
But yeah, that's so. Look, the biggest thing I'm thinking of is that most battles you see nowadays, the death numbers are much lower than wounded, and for very serious battles, it's mostly captured. Like they're not dead. Like even Napoleon, Battle of Austerlitz, the casualty numbers were really close. But then the thing was that because Napoleon broke the enemy lines, he managed to capture a lot of people.
So either people got a lot smarter and became a lot more reserved later in history, or the figures are
Out of whack.
whack.
Yeah, and it's just there's a lot of dead. That's just you don't see as many dead as you go further down the line.
Yeah.
Like it's not like Canet, right? They all died.
People
Yeah.
just learned how to swim.
That's true. Maybe the swimming correlates with captured and dead.
Yeah, after you learn how to swim, you stop dying
Yeah,
during
because
combat.
you make it to landfall. You know, you're in the middle of a landlocked country, but you know how to swim, so now you don't get killed.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Reminds me of this British queen or whatever, who the rumors were spread about her. She had such a high libido that she needed a horse to please
Elizabeth,
her. Yes.
right? Oh, wait, no,
Yeah.
wait.
No.
Catherine the Great. Catherine
Oh,
the Great.
yeah.
Because she went to Russia. And so it was actually a Russian queen that was British.
Oh,
German?
German.
Fuck.
And also it'd be Tsarina, because it's Russian. Tsarina is the term for monarch if they're female.
Catherine the Great, anyway.
Yeah, but she's
Yeah.
German. You know what's the funny
German.
thing about her? Is that she converted her name to Yekaterina when she became queen, and she converted to Orthodox Christianity, and she's seen as like an absolutely legendary Russian Tsarina, but she's German, but like Napoleon's Italian, so you know it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that's the only reason I can actually like Napoleon.
Is that he's Corsican?
He's Corsican, not French, so therefore
Yeah.
he's okay. He's not on my
He's
shit
one of the good
list.
Frenchies because he's not French.
The only good French is someone who's not
So,
French.
what do you think of Vercingetorix? You know, proto-French, like pre-French.
I'm a little historical baby. I don't know if that means.
Oh, it means that because the French modern ethnic group comes from the Frankish migration, so that they're
Oh.
very, you know, it's a hybrid of Gallic with German.
Gallic people are fine.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, they paint themselves and run naked into battle.
I mean, they
from
are
what I understand.
obviously just lawless heathens of the Alps that the Romans needed to civilize. But after the Romans civilized them, they're fine.
Yeah, once you get that Romano in front
You
of
need
them,
the Greco-Roman
Yeah,
Hellenistic influence to really like get them to be proper humans.
now they're
Before
actually
they were just-
people.
Before they were, I can say this because they're white, so it's fine. They were just lawless beasts before the Romans civilized them.
Yes. There we go. Based.
Based and.
But yeah,
based
that's
in
my
red
question. I'm actually kind of happy that spiraled out of control into a longer discussion.
There you
You
go.
know, I need you to teach me history.
Where do you
I
want
will-
to start?
I will pay you.
Where? Give me a time period, and I will work on it.
Rome.
Rome? Oh shit! Marcus can help me with this now.
Yeah, well, should this become the new Rome podcast?
So once upon a
Yes.
time, there was a city called Troy.
things didn't go well there.
Without exaggeration, the Romans believed they originated from people who fled from the Trojan War, like that they were Troy refugees.
And were raised by wolves.
Well, that's Romulus and Remus, but yeah.
Didn't they also flee from? Wait, am I getting mixed up?
Well, so like the ancient origin story.
Yeah,
is
they fled
Troy
from
refugees.
Rome, and then the babies got raised by wolves. right?
Yeah. Well, it's Troy
Filthy
refugees. They
animals.
ran over here, and then those people eventually, Romulus and Remus, came from those people.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And then they eventually, after they were raised by wolves, and then Romulus casually murders his brother.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens a lot during Rome, so I guess they can't be too
I
offended
love
by
the
it.
I love the meme where it's Romulus and Remus staying next to each other and goes, "Yes, we did it, brother. We finally ousted our rivals. Good job. I can't wait to name the city Rheme." And then it shows Romulus sharpening his spear.
Reem. That just doesn't roll off the tongue quite
You
right.
can't say Rheme Invicta. Invicta. Yeah,
Although
no.
then you're reaming people.
That's true. Reaming. Wait a minute.
Did we just discover something?
I'm just saying.
I think we
Alright.
just did.
I think we're at about time for today, actually.
Mm.
I can't read the clock from here, but I think we're over an hour. So I think we're going to call it. But thanks for watching / listening, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it.
I want to apologize. I've been sniffing a lot.
Got
It's
that
allergies.
Got that Rona.
Yeah, I got the Rona.
Got the big old Rona.
It's going to be weird talking about Rona after it's like been done for a while.
Literal history.
You
Yeah.
have the variant. Maybe you have the variant.
The great toilet paper
Probably.
crisis.
All right. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week. I waved, but my hand's off screen, so you don't get to see it.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye forever.
Bye.